A cold case dating back nearly a half century appears to have been cracked this week. Investigators in Pennsylvania arrested David Sinopoli in the 1975 murder of 19-year-old Lindy Sue Biechler. Bradley Blackburn is here to explain how police were able to track down Sinopoli across the decades. Good morning, Bradley.
Dana, good morning. It was DNA evidence used to crack so many unsolved cases. Investigators say they matched Sinopoli's biological thumbprint back to that 1975 crime scene. But how they used that DNA to find him might surprise you.
This has been a long and difficult case for everybody, 46 and a half years.
Police in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, relieved after Sunday's arrest of David Sinopoli. He's now charged in the stabbing death of Lindy Sue Biechler.
This case has been very emotional for many of our officers. They've shed tears, they've had sleepless nights, hoping one day an arrest would be made, and finally yesterday it was made.
The gruesome crime gripped this community for nearly 50 years. Biechler, a flower shop employee, was stabbed 19 times in the living room of her apartment. The killer left behind the knife and his DNA.
This case was solved with the use of DNA, and specifically DNA genealogy. And quite honestly, without that, I don't know that we would have ever solved it.
The case began to crack in 2019 when investigators extracted DNA evidence from Biechler's underwear. A DNA research firm used that information to come up with these composite sketches of what the suspect might have looked like in 1975 and the present day. Researchers also determined the suspect had ancestral ties to a small town in southern Italy. That narrowed down the number of potential suspects living in Lancaster County in 1975 to about 2,300. From there, they used court records, newspaper archives, and even social media to zero in on Sinopoli as a prime suspect. But the break came in February. Investigators tracked Sinopoli to Philadelphia International Airport. They recovered a sample of his DNA from a coffee cup they watched him throw away. Police say it was a match.
This is why we do what we do, and it's very meaningful for us to be able to try to provide some sense of relief to the victims.
Police say Sinopoli was never on their radar, but he did live in the same apartment complex as Biechler at the time of her murder, and he spent the past 30 years living less than 5 miles from the crime scene. And Sinopoli is being held without bail. Investigators say the DNA match is 1 in 10 trillion. And for weeks leading up to her murder, guys, Lindy Sue Biechler told her husband and other relatives that she thought someone had been watching her.
It's so amazing that he lived in her building and wasn't even looked at.
I know.
It just seems so bizarre.
And like, with just a handful of people who lived in the same building with her?
Absolutely. And that is one powerful cup of coffee, too.
Yes, Bradley, thank you very much.